Thank you very much, Jennifer. My name is Brian Day. I am from NASA's Solar System Exploration Research Virtual Institute. And as she mentioned, today we are going to use Mars Trek. It's an online portal. And if you want to know more about the general use of Mars Trek, we have our team from JPL just on the other side of the hyperwall. They're doing a great demo, and I will be doing an overview talk of Mars Trek here tomorrow at 3:15. But today what we're going to do is we're going to use Mars Trek to specifically look at candidate human landing sites on Mars. Back in October of 2015, researchers from around the world gathered in Houston, Texas to present and debate potential human landing sites on Mars. And we came out of that discussion with 48 potential landing sites. And you can see them here scattered across the surface of Mars. Something you'll notice is that there are latitude limits. We don't go any further north than 50 north or any further south than 50 south. So we try and keep fairly equatorial. You'll notice that they tend to be away from the lighter red areas. Those are dust-filled areas, and more toward the darker areas where exposed rock is. And that allows us to actually measure the composition of the surface, and that's very important. And one other thing you'll see here, what we can do in Mars Trek is we can change our views between instruments. So I'm going to change now, and we'll get a laser altimetry view. And here we can see the ups and downs. And you can see we tend to keep our landing sites in the lower areas. No landing sites on the tops of the high volcanoes. We want to take advantage of as thick as the atmosphere is going to get. So now what we'll do is we'll switch into a 3D view. And let's go ahead, and this is the real fun part of Mars Trek, we're going to go flying. And so we're going to start flying down toward Valles Marineris, and as we do so, we'll take a look at the layout of some of these exploration zones, as we call them. The exploration zones are defined as circles with 100-kilometer radiuses. So they're big areas. And within those circles, we have areas that are mapped out for resources and science regions of interest. Now those resource regions of interest are really quite important because as we go to Mars, we're not going to be able to bring all our resources with us. We're going to have to learn to live off the land. And some of the most important resources we're going to need are water. So let's drop down a little closer here. And this is Valles Marineris, Mars's Grand Canyon. If it were here on Earth, it would stretch all the way across the United States. And what we'll do now is we're going to shift our view. And we're going to fly down dramatically into this canyon. And the nice thing about this canyon here is we'll see these wonderful sedimentary deposits. Lake beds were once here in great abundance, and it's left behind hydrated minerals like polyhydrated sulfates. And these are up to 50% water by volume. You heat them up to 150 degrees Celsius, and they release that water. We estimate that in this one exploration zone, there are about 2 Lake Erie's worth of water just bound up in those rocks. So keeping along the lines of discussing water, we know that there's a lot of water in the poles, in the polar ice caps of Mars, but we're not going to send people there. The environment is just too darn nasty. But what we do see is that there are bands of mid-latitude glaciers at about 40 degrees, and those contain a lot of water. As a matter of fact, if you were to take all the ice in those mid-latitude glaciers, spread them out evenly, it would cover the entire surface of Mars about 1.5 meters thick. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn off that particular view of the glaciers, and we're going to zoom down. I meant to turn that off. We're going to zoom down and take a look at some of these areas. So what we are on here is an area that is actually on the edge of an ancient ocean. Mars once had an ancient northern ocean, And as we look carefully, we can see this ancient crater that was on the shoreline. Its walls are cut through by ancient river channels, but look at this strange billowy stuff around the edge. And if we change our view one more time here, I'm going to switch to views from our Mars Odyssey and Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft. And we're going to drop down in, and we can see that you have this strange billowy texture around the edge, and these are actual glaciers, debris-covered glaciers. Notice here we have what's called a Piedmont Glacier. Looks like a great big toe of stuff sticking out. We're going to zip over to the side here, and we're going to see a beautiful example of a valley glacier. I'm going to... Now, if you've ever been to Alaska, oops, that's not right. If you've ever been to Alaska, well, we lost it. So, sorry about it. I don't know what happened there. But the point is good because I'm out of time. The point is that these glaciers are great resources for us in terms of water to live off of. They're great scientific resources. But these are just two of the sites of these 48. They all have fantastic stories. And if you go to Mars Trek, that's marstrek.jpl.nasa.gov, you will be able to actually see these stories as we fill in the data. So again, come to our table, come to the talk here at 3:15 tomorrow, and go to marstrek.jpl.nasa.gov. Thank you very much.